Roll call vote.
Councilmember Frida?
Here.
Councilmember Alvarez? Councilmember Cabrera?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Titus?
Here.
Mayor Schultz?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We have a presentation to make.
Mayor, if I may, can I make a motion to excuse Mr. Alvarez? He's on
Oh, I
vacation.
didn't even notice he wasn't here. I'm sorry.
Second.
He's on vacation now.
Oh, not back yet, huh?
No.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a presentation to make to a gentleman by the name of Mario Munoz. Muniz. It's the Mexican American Opportunity Foundation relating to the funds awarded for an infant care and preschool child care center in the city of Hawaiian Gardens.
My name is Tim Morales, and I'm the Director of Operations for the Mexican American Opportunity Foundation. I just want to thank the City of Hawaiian Gardens for allowing us to be part of this spirit of cooperation, expansion, growth for City of Hawaiian Gardens, also for our agency. We have been in the community for over 36 years, and even though it's been 36 years, this is a time where it's very new, a time where we'll be able to really get into the community to provide services. And we want to just again say thank you. I want to pass on to Mr. Muniz, who will do the presentation regarding specifics about the child care of facilities that we're proposing or we'll be discussing. And if there are any questions on the foundation, I'll be here to also answer the questions.
Thank you, Tim. Good evening. About a year ago, we were approached by the city manager who had expressed at the time a need to go out and obtain services, resources to provide child care services for the Hawaiian Gardens community. The Hawaiian Gardens community has been identified in a state study as one of the communities that lacks resources for child care programs. In fact, in the entire city of Hawaiian Gardens, there weren't any full-day child care slots available to the community, in contrast to the tremendous need that exists in this community with regard to single parents, with regard to low-income families, and so forth. So when we were approached by Mr. Lopez, we were very excited about the potential and the possibilities. We proceeded at that time to prepare applications to the California Department of Education in pursuit of these funds. We were involved at 3 levels of competition targeting the City of Hawaiian Gardens. The first level of competition involved the infant toddler program. The second one involved a preschool program, and the third involved a competition for modular buildings to provide services. What I'd like to do today, if I may, and I don't know what the time restrictions are, but it's not going to be very lengthy. We have prepared a packet of information. Much of the information you can read and review on your own. What I'd like to do this evening is to focus on 3 areas and give you an overview of the kind of services. We're excited about being partners with this wonderful city, and we're hoping that this is the beginning of a lasting relationship that will only grow as we work together to provide the services for the needy in our community. If I may call your attention to the table of contents in the booklet that has been prepared for you, I want to highlight 3 areas. The first 3 items, the infant toddler program, to give you an overview of what that involves, who it serves, the mode of delivery, and the second is a preschool, and then the third is the modular. If we could go to item number 1, please. It's numbered. MAOF was awarded a contract by the California Department of Education in the amount of $368,000. And this is annualized, it is ongoing, and it will continue to provide services exclusively for residents of Hawaiian Gardens. And that is the pitch that I think we need to make here, that this is your program serving your communities, and we're pleased to be part of that. In terms of the age bracket, we're going to be serving children birth to age 3, and we have funding for approximately 60 children in that age bracket. The service delivery mode, there were basically 2 options that one can pursue. You can go with a center-based program, or you can go with a family daycare home for services for this age group. We opted to pursue the family daycare network as a service delivery mode because we felt that it was more appropriate for this age group, and secondly, it's a lot more expedient than to go through the other model. So in essence, what we're going to be doing is identifying between 10 and 15 homes within the community, recruiting those individuals and working with them to attain their state licensing to provide this kind of service. So these homes are going to be licensed through the state of California Department of Social Services. They will do the monitoring, and there is no liability or responsibility to the city. These folks are being monitored on a periodic basis through the state. And then we would also monitor the program for quality assurances and what have you. In terms of who is eligible to receive these services, low-income families will receive a full subsidy. In other words, the state of California will pay the entire cost of the child care according to the income levels. And there is a sliding scale fee, but in most cases, and in this particular case of Hawaiian Gardens, we expect that the majority of the parents will be eligible for a full subsidy through the state of California. There is a requirement that they have to establish need. In other words, they would have to be either working, going to school, in some kind of a training program in order to be eligible. There has to be a need for child care, and of course they have to be low income. So those are the 2 criteria, and there's a lot more detail, but maybe that's another presentation at another time. In terms of the length of services, this is throughout the year, and parents will continue to receive the services as long as they maintain eligibility for the program. The other reason we went with infant toddler services in a family daycare home network is because there is greater flexibility to accommodate individual parent family needs. Most centers are open between 7 and 5 or between 9 and 6. In this particular setting, the schedule is established between the provider and the family. And so this will accommodate variance in scheduling and work needs and what have you. In terms of employment opportunities, this is an area that Mr. Lopez, when he approached us, said there has to be some stimulus, there has to be some incentive for the community, economic development, if you will. This will create anywhere between 15 and 30 new businesses in the community. And at the same time, it establishes capacity. Even though the money is being used as seed money to develop the subsidized care, these folks are going to be licensed, and they can bring in other families who may not need the subsidy, possibly city employees or other employees in the community who have the need for the service, who work in this community. So in a nutshell, that's the program for infant toddlers. Are there any questions on that particular program? Okay, move right on. Yes.
I have a question. It might be stupid, but I've heard the only stupid questions ones you don't
Exactly. I
ask.
was going to say that.
You said 10 to 15 homes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that mean the little ones would be taken care of in the home?
Yes.
Oh,
In the
that's what I
licensed
thought it
home.
sounded like, but I wasn't sure.
Right. And there's a whole set of criteria that has to be met. There's fingerprinting, there's
order for them
Department of
to
Justice
have the
clearance, and right. Mhm.
Okay.
And the next page is just the award letter identifying the funds for Hawaiian Gardens. Item number 2 is a preschool program. Preschool program targets children ages 3 to 5. This is a preschool program designed to assist children to develop educationally so that by the time they attend kindergarten, they're able to succeed. And so that's the notion. It's a 3-hour-a-day program. And there's very close articulation in this program, curriculum-wise, between the elementary school and our child care and development program. It's a 3-hour program. It is going to serve approximately about 144 children. What we're anticipating is we're going to have 3 classrooms of 24 children, in one in the morning, one cycle in the morning, one cycle in the afternoon. And so what we're going to need to provide this service is basically 3 classrooms. And we'll get to that when we get to the modulars. In terms of eligibility, again, this is a little bit more flexible. Income is a criteria, but parents do not have to establish a need for childcare because this is not considered childcare. This is considered an educational program. So if a parent is at home, the children are eligible to participate in this program. Okay? In terms of employment opportunities, here is another catch, going back to our initial discussions about a year ago next week, as a matter of fact, was that whatever funds are brought in to the community, we want priority for local residents. They have to have first shot in any opportunities so that they can benefit economically as well. And we are fully committed to that. We anticipate that we will be establishing anywhere between 15 and 20 new jobs in the community, and our focus is going to be in identifying human resources within this community so that they can have those opportunities. Also programmatic, it makes a lot more sense. Children relate better to folks within their own community who can relate to them, who understand the situation as well. So that's, in a nutshell, again, the state preschool program. Are there any questions on that program? No? Okay, the third item that I wanted to speak briefly to is the modulars. One of the other areas that we pursued, because in order to succeed in these programs, of course you have to have the operational money, but the biggest obstacle always is lack of facilities, because it's not just any place. These are specially designed facilities that have to meet very stringent licensing requirements. So what we did, our proposal involved the application for 3 portable or modular buildings, state-of-the-art buildings. These are not your typical square type structures that are poorly put together. These are actually quite expensive. These are being provided to us through the Department of Education, and they also have to comply with all the stringent requirements. In fact, they have to comply with the same requirements as school districts. The individual that we have, or the organization that we have identified that will be working with us, is an agency that specializes in facilities for public schools, and we've included an attachment in this item 3 that talks a little bit about the facilities. They are also very, very beautiful looking buildings, and they're going to blend in really nicely with the community, and we'll work with the city to ensure that this is something that all of us can be very proud of, and that will blend in quite well with the community. And at this point, we have been awarded 3 buildings that will accommodate the number of children that we're working with. I also need to share with you that from the very beginning, we felt that it was important to not be viewed as an outsider, as an opportunist. We immediately, upon the advice again of the city manager, established communication with the local Head Start agency that is operated out of Orange County. We have been in very deep and thoughtful discussion with them, and we have, as of last week, established an agreement and understanding that we are going to be working together. They operate Head Start programs, which is also a 3-hour program. We operate state-funded program, which is a 3-hour program. We are going to be pursuing, as early as January, a blended program where both resources will be combined to provide full-day care as opposed to just 3-day care, with the same richness in the curriculum. And we did make that agreement last week, and so we're really excited about working with them so that we're in effect going to join hands to serve the community as opposed to being competitors. And we're going to replicate this in Orange County as well. They've invited us to do that. So that's the information that we have for you. We're excited about being here, and if you have any questions, we're here to respond to those. Yes?
I have another one of those questions. So you will be taking care of the children within our city and the surrounding cities?
This money is exclusively for Hawaiian Gardens as a priority. That was the agreement we had with the city manager. He would not open the doors to the city otherwise, he said.
See,
So
I
this
tell
is
everybody he's great.
this is exclusively for this community. And the total operation money, including the portables, is a little bit over $1.2 million. when you think about it. So he had asked for $1 million, so I think we did a little bit better than that. So
Well, have you discussed about possible sites at all?
we've been involved in some preliminary dialogue. We've looked at a variety of options, and what we're waiting for is for the city to formally, direct us in which direction they wish us to pursue.
Okay.
The other advantage of this, and I really appreciate Mr. Muniz and the Mexican American Opportunity Foundation and all the work they've done in order to assure this, is that it addresses, as we know, there's a large employer that's going up right now. They're recruiting 1,200 employees. There's going to be a need. A number of our residents, I understand, are being employed there. But one of the biggest factors also is that when one looks at the Welfare Reform Act, this plays a heavy role as far as, the biggest need is child daycare. So it allows the parents to pursue under the requirements under the Welfare Reform Act. And also, most important is that it provides employment here. It's exciting. It really is.
Oh, it is. Do you have something to say, Lupe?
No?
Sounds good, doesn't it?
Sounds good, very good. Long time
Petra?
coming.
Yeah.
Yes, I was talking to Debbie. She's the one that is in charge of hiring the people for the casino. And she was telling me today that there's a great need for a child care center. A lot of the single mothers that are now working at the casino are having problems with babysitters. And she was telling me that it would be a great idea to have a daycare center.
Let me just share with you, you have a very significant number of families who are on assistance and public assistance, who also have now this requirement. There's a time element involved that they're only going to receive that amount of funding. They have to go to training. One of the tragic things that is occurring, and this is an issue that and Mr. Lopez brought to our attention, is that in this community, if you're on AFDC and if you're mandated to go to work or to go to school, it is very tragic that you have to take your child out of the city. Why? Because there is no capacity within the community. That's the other reason why we decided to go with the family daycare home, because not only are you building a network, a system to support these kids, but you're also creating a safety net, if you will, for other children within the community, so that when welfare reform is finally kicks in all these requirements within your community, you've already established a capacity to serve that family in a very comprehensive way, as opposed to having to send them elsewhere for services. And so that's really an important matter. And again, the other issue is that by doing this, you're also establishing capacity for those parents who are working, who are not on AFDC, but who have no place to take their kids as well. So it's a good beginning, and I think you're going to be the envy of this side of the county.
I think so too.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mario.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We'll take oral communications now. Items on the agenda. Anyone would like to speak? It's 3 minutes per speaker with a maximum of 15 minutes. No one? Oh, okay.
Good evening, Alan Calco, 21930 Horst Avenue. I'd like to speak in favor of Resolution C2, and this would be approving a 3-year contract with Consolidated for the CDBG program, the cleanup programs. From my experience, they've done a very good job. They're very reasonable with the city. They offer us very good rates, and I think they're experts at what they do, so I'm sure you will approve this tonight. And I guess you have the first cleanup. You have the cleanup scheduled for October 23rd and October 24th, and they do a very good job, and it provides a real good service for the community, so I'm sure you'll approve that tonight. And the other thing I'd like to mention, I see on discussion item E1, I I guess the mayor or the council is considering setting up some kind of a committee to review how we have code enforcement in the community. As you know, this has always been one of my favorite subjects, code enforcement in this community. And certainly in the 1990s in Hawaiian Gardens, and especially since 1996, 1997, this community has made great strides in getting cleaned up. And I'm sure there's a little bit of resistance against that. Some people really don't want the city to get cleaned up. And I just hope that the people on this committee will keep moving the city in the right direction and enforce those codes and continue to clean it up. And I know that one of the hot issues that you're going to have to face are all the illegal garage conversions in this community. And it's something that sooner or later you have to address if you really want to get the city cleaned up. My feeling is, especially if they're absentee landlords and they have illegal garage conversions and they're just cramming people in these houses just to make a profit, I don't think that's right. And it creates a lot of high-density problems for this community. And I hope that you will check into that. But the bottom line is, I hope whoever is on this committee, that they will keep on moving in the right direction and continue cleaning up the city in a compassionate way. But don't ease up and go back to the ways that it was before, because we've made great strides, and just keep on cleaning up the city. Thank you.
Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, Alan.
Hi, my name's Glenn Rill. I live at 22115 Joliet Avenue, and I'm talking in favor of the ordinance number 453 for the sales of the fireworks coming here in December. It is a great fundraiser for my league. I'm a part of Hawaiian Gardens Pop Warner, and we basically run on, fundraisers like this. That's what keeps us, going, being able to buy equipment for the kids and stuff like that. So I'm really in favor of this, and I hope you guys pass it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Joan, would you like to, you can just give us what you want to talk to us about. Just sit in the chair. It's fine.
Okay.
You don't have to come to the podium, Joan.
She doesn't talk that loud.
Oh, okay.
I've got a small voice.
Need the mic, right?
First, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Dr. Joan Hewlett. I have a Bachelor of Science in Registered Nurse, Bachelor of Science in Hospital Administration, a Master's in Registered Nurse, and a PhD in Public Health. I've been in the public health spectrum since 1957, and I have been an advocate for senior citizens and disabled all this time, never dreaming that I would have a problem as I'm 61 going on 62. Maybe you know about the problems with latex allergies, which made me become disabled, with a complication of my diabetes making the latex lesions heal slowly. I have been discriminated against in the senior complex at Hawaiian Terrace Apartments, being accused of having AIDS by my manager, which I do not have. Because of the latex allergy, my diabetes has gotten worse and worse. I've gotten retinopathy, which I was to have eye surgery on, and now I have a complication of a Charcot fracture in my left foot, which fractured all the way through for no reason, just a complication of the diabetes because of the latex allergy and everything. I have been on disability. Last October, my manager opened my mail, took my $500 disability check, and would not give it to me. She was setting me up to evict me back then because she thought I had AIDS. She told me that. I complained about not getting my mail for the whole month to her and to the post office, to the postal inspectors, and I'm not the only one that she's been abusive to. I have been there since January 1996, and I have seen her evict and verbally abuse over 20 people that are there. I have turned it over to the state already. They have talked to these people, so they know it has happened. I have been evicted this October because I called the police to get my $500 check back from Thelma that she would not give me. And so now she has taken retaliation and evicted me, given me a 30-day notice, which the state has told her that she can't do because I'm not in any condition to be able to pack and move, etc. My complaint is she's doing this to other senior citizens. There's a poor little 82-year-old lady that was just recently evicted, and she tongue whipped her so badly, and she had her car impounded while she was in the hospital. And this little 82-year-old lady has a son that's in his late 40s that is retarded that she had to take care of. And this goes on and on and on. And my reason for being here is to let you know what is going on at Hawaiian Terrace Apartments that nobody seems to know. I went to Mr. Whalen down in Costa Mesa with a friend of mine. I was told he was out of town, and yet he walked into the office when we sat there for over 2 hours waiting for him. He did not know, he had not received my 6 letters. He doesn't know, I think, to this day that I am evicted right now. My reason for being here is I think the city needs to know the abuse that is taking place at Hawaiian Terrace Apartments. And I've seen person after person being evicted, and she says I don't have to have any reason to evict anybody. And I am contrary to that, because when you're a senior citizen, you don't have the money, and I'm not talking about myself right now, I'm talking about the older people, 70s and 80s, and a lot of them are on assistance, HUD, Section 8. They don't have the money to just up and move or to find another place. This truly is abuse. And she wants to rule our lives. These are regular apartments. It is not a care center. We do not have to answer to her.
Well, we'll see what we can do, Joan. We'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. I've talked to Tony about this, and
Okay. Thank you very much.
so thank you for speaking. I'm sorry you're having this problem. Anyone else would like to speak about things on the agenda? If not, we'll things that are not on the agenda.
John Heckerman, 12550 East Carson Street, space number 2. I have a question, and I believe many people would be interested in the answer. You received a $3.5 million loan. You refinanced the bonds, allowing for approximately another $1 million. And this is over and above the sales and taxes and revenues from license fees, from vehicles and such, as well as other revenues received. My question is, how can you possibly know whether you have money if no one is acting as, or you have no finance director? The city administrator should be able to pinpoint every dollar, both as income and how much is paid out. The excuse of we have no money has worn very thin. Each time we have gotten someone who came close to straightening out our financial mess, some excuse has been found to fire the person. Could it be that someone does not want certain improprieties found out, such as the mess we recently suffered through with our past city attorney? Someone is not doing their job, and if we cannot get an exact accounting of the city's finances, if you say we have no money to prove it. Show us on paper where the money is gone. And we do not need any creative bookkeeping involved either. We all know this city has been incapable of putting together a budget for years, and there has been no excuse for that. It is time for the council as a whole to demand and get a thorough accounting of all funds and a budget with no further excuses. How have you been able to bring back some of the laid-off employees without knowing if there was money for their paychecks? How can you continue to pay bills without knowing what money is available? I submit that someone knows exactly where we stand financially but continues to try and snowball the council. For
That's
what
not
intent,
quite
I do
fair,
not know.
John. That's not quite fair. You know we came into this and we had a mess. We are straightening
I'm
it
not
out.
saying that you didn't come into a mess, but somebody knows
But
what's going on.
We are straightening it out. It's just that you people just can't see everything right now, but it'll be okay.
Well, I will continue,
Yeah, can Tony speak for a minute?
certainly.
I'll wait until you're done, sir.
Says, for what intent, I do not know, but it appears to be the same BS we have been getting for years. Every council member owes it to the people of this city to make sure the funds of this community are properly used. We need more accountability, and that includes our city administrator, who has been hired to make sure the funds are administered wisely, especially in the absence of a financial director, and should, at every meeting of the council, have with him an exact accounting of those funds. Maybe we should consider requesting a state auditor to straighten up this mess, since it appears that the status quo is still being followed. The city and the people who inhabit it deserve better. They deserve the representation they thought they were voting for. That means you do not take someone's word, you have them show you the figures and prove them to be true.
Okay. Your time is excellent, by the way. First of all, this afternoon, late this afternoon, the finance department did give me what's known as a chart of accounts, which that'll be going out to the council and to the staff tomorrow morning. The city has hired, on a temporary basis, a firm that did the budget several years ago for this city, and they did an excellent job, and that firm also was brought back. They're giving us a preliminary budget at the end of this month. The name of the, I know it's Dan Miller, but I can't think of the name of the firm.
Rosenau and Spavacek.
Yeah, thank you. The other item is that in regards to that the public should know, you're absolutely right, and that's why this evening there'll be somebody will be expounding on the webpage that we now have. It is the intention to see not only items pertaining to the city's activities and so forth, as I know your concern is communication, but also it's my intention to see that once we have the budget finalized, it'll be on the webpage.
And the webpage is what?
It's www.gateway.cog. I'll write it for you in a second. Gateway.cog.org.
Okay, that's just being put together, and there's still some items that need to be corrected on that.
It's in the preliminary stages.
Yeah, so what we have here is that those items that you're requesting in regards to the budgets or the finances, they will be made available. There's a request this evening. One of the items is for the treasurer's report. That'll be coming on the council's agendas in the future. So any type of financial data, once again, it's public information.
And what will we be doing, pardon me for a moment, what will we be doing for those, first of all, there are those within the community that don't have cable, so they're not capable of getting channel 36 to view the council proceedings.
Yeah.
There are also people within the community that don't have a computer, so therefore
No.
could not get on the
No,
webpage.
you're absolutely right there, and that's something that I need to find what other avenues. As a side note, and it's something that I started to look into as of last week, which is another way of communicating, by the way, with the public, because I know that's a big concern, and that's we're looking into our own radio station, and that way we'll start making announcements.
All right, what about, and we also still do, and those people, those of us that do have the cable, that is public access there for the people, rather than just running just the things that you run on there. Why can't we have a public forum of some sort set up where things could be discussed now and then on that also? Because there are, for those of the people that don't have, we can make ourselves available for those of us that do have and bring people in, such as over at my park. We could have the cable TV, or have the TV set up. We have a widescreen TV there that people could view that.
That would be a decision by the elected body in regards to, the utilization of public forums. But, how do you feel?
I have no problem with that. I think it's I think the issues that you brought up are probably fairly pertinent. I'm on the finance committee myself, and I think we're striving to get to that end. That's why we have it on the agenda now. We're going to make every effort to try to disclose what we need to disclose to the public, because it's not our money. It's all of our money, okay? It's the public's money, and it's the public has voted all of us to take care of that money, and you should certainly have a keen knowledge about what's going on with the public's money. And we'll be discussing that later on, because it's an issue that really hits home for me, because I'm on the Finance Committee, and that's why certain things are on the agenda right now. We just need to take a more serious look at our finances. This is certainly with the new card club coming up, and we're going to have a lot more revenues. We're going to have to be counting a whole heck of a lot.
So there's going to be a whole lot more accountability when that money starts coming in.
Absolutely.
And there's where we need the direct communication with the entire community, so they know what is happening, so that we don't have rumors spreading about the city as we have in the past, which turn out to be untrue in many instances. But once a rumor is started, it can snowball. It's the old story. You can it's the old story. You can stand 10 people in a line and tell them a story, and by the time it gets to the 10th person, it isn't anywhere near what the original story was.
That's true.
So we have to be aware of that. That's why I keep stressing the communication issue here within the city. And that's why we need to know what's going on with our finances and everything else, so that we don't have these questions and we don't have these rumors spread that may be untrue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Anyone else?
Alan Calco, 21930 Horst Avenue. I'd just like to take this moment to thank Mr. Lopez for the fine job that he's doing as a city administrator. As a former council member and a resident of this community for the last 13 years, I'm very impressed with his dedication to this community. If my memory serves me correctly, you came on board on June 29th, 1998, and you've done a yeoman's job as far as your effort in the city and getting things straightened out. I guess under your leadership, now we're going to get this bond issue. The city is going to get maybe bailed out finally. And I'm very impressed with your dedication. And I know that when people have a question, they can come to you and you will answer it to the best of your knowledge and honestly. And I hope that you plan on staying here for a long time, and that this council and any future councils will want to make you welcome, that you'll stay here, because the one thing I think the city really needs is stability, and we've had a problem in the past with city administrators and instability, and so I just hope that you'll always feel welcome here and want to stay, and no matter what, I'm very impressed with the job you're doing, and keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
If I may, I thank you for your statements. I really do, and for really the credit. All these things are happening because of the mayor and the council, and also it's a great staff that we have here in the city. So we're very fortunate. But thank you.
Anyone else? If not, continue with the next item. We have no public hearing at this time, but under ordinances, we have an adoption of a emergency ordinance 453 relating to the sale and operation of safe and sane fireworks. And fireworks stands in the City of Hawaiian Gardens for the millennium, the New Year celebrations.
Yes, Mayor and Council, being that I know Lucy has done a lot of work on this, a lot of excellent work, and we'll let her expound on this, and she's all excited about selling fireworks.
Go for it, Lucy.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, what you have before you is the ordinance per your request from the last meeting. You directed staff to prepare an ordinance for your consideration on the sale and operation of safe and sane fireworks for the Millennium Celebration. What you have before you is an urgency ordinance, which the information is basically taken from other cities who have already adopted such ordinances, and with some minor formatting changes and date changes to reflect the needs of our city and the late date. I think, first of all, I want to just make the council aware that the organizations and applicants that received permits and applied for permits in July were contacted, most of which, I think all but one that I spoke directly to, inviting them to attend our meeting tonight, as well as the fireworks company that have operated in the city and have assisted those applicants in the past have all been contacted. And the Hawaiian Gardens Fire Department has also been contacted in reference to tonight's proposed ordinance. Some of the dates are highlighted in the urgency ordinance that's before you tonight. Specifically, the dates that the applicants would need to submit and file with the city clerk's office. And I wanted to make one minor adjustment to the date on page 2 of the urgency ordinance as presented, and that is to modify the date from October 18th through October 25 to allow ample time for applicants to submit and work with the applicants to provide the council at a future date with a complete files if this ordinance were to go through. The other dates that I want to highlight is that what staff has proposed is to allow the fireworks to be sold and discharged between December 28th, beginning at 12 noon of 1999 and ending at 12 noon on this up to the second day of January 2000. We've proposed with the modification I've just made for the filing to be provided to the city clerk's office on or prior to October 25. The other minor modification is that currently our municipal code, the liability has not been reviewed. I believe our ordinance was since 1975 or something like that. And I've modified the municipal code to reflect what we currently request the applicants, just so that we're consistent, and that is with $1 million general public liability and an aggregate of $2 million. In regards to the application, that the council review and that I can report back to the applicants by November 10th of whether or not their applications were approved or denied by the council. If the applicants are approved that their stands are not to be built before December 19th of 1999, and that all the structures and debris is to be cleared by 12 noon on no later than 12 noon on January 10th, 2000. And those are pretty much the highlighted dates. Now, this is also, because it's an urgency ordinance, there is a Section 8 stating the declaration of such urgency, and in particular because of the dates upcoming. And additionally, the urgency ordinance would only be in effect until these dates and 12 midnight on January 1st, 2000, unless it's so stated, or unless the council decides to modify the ordinance. So what you have before you is an urgency ordinance. If you prefer to modify those dates, and it is possible to convert it into a regular ordinance with first and second readings if you so wish to do that. If the council has any questions?
Move to waive further reading and by title only and adopt urgency ordinance 453 with its modifications.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Frida?
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez? Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chidas?
Yes.
Mayor Schultz?
Yes. Okay, under resolutions, approval of resolution 100-99 to authorize the city administrator to appropriate local law enforcement block grant funds from the U.S. Department of Justice in order to reduce crime and improve public safety. Tony?
Yes, Mayor and Council, first of all, I need to give the credit to Ernesto Marquez for doing this, and also for doing the first part of the application. Last year, the city was awarded this same funding source, and this year we're reapplying. And as you can see, it describes what the purposes are of the funding and how it's to be utilized. It does call for a matching of, what we're seeking is 61,946, but we are in the form of a matching, city's matching of 6,833. This will be used for a deputy, sheriff deputy. But once again, I'd like to commend Mr. Marcus for the fine work he's doing on this application.
Motion wait for the reading, adopt resolution number 199.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Frida?
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez? Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chaytas?
Yes.
Mayor Schultz?
Yes. Number 2, under resolutions, approve the resolution 101-99 to approve a request from the Community Development Department to enter into an agreement by and between the city and Consolidated Disposal Services to provide waste disposal services for the 1999-2002 CDBG funds cleanup program.
Motion to wait for the reading, adopt resolution number 10199.
Second.
We're going to let Joe talk, please.
No.
We'll let him.
No?
No.
Okay, roll call vote.
Councilmember Frida?
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez? Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chaytas?
Yes.
Mayor Schultz?
Yes. Number 3, approving the resolution 102-99 to approve pre-issued warrants and regular payrolls for a total of $295,739.06. Do I have
Motion approved.
Second.
roll call vote?
Councilmember Frida?
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez? Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chaytas?
Yes.
Mayor Schultz?
Yes. Under consent calendar, we have 3 items. Does anyone want to, the first one?
Motion to deny claim and authorize staff to process correspondence.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Councilmember Frida?
No.
Councilmember Alvarez? Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chaytas?
Yes.
Mayor Schultz?
Yes. And the second one is
Madam
animal...
Mayor, just for the record, can we just have a vote count again, just so that, because I know Councilmember Frida did say no initially,
Yeah, and I said yes.
okay?
I rescind my vote.
So can we just have a vote, just on the record, what the vote is at 4-0?
Yes.
Favor of the claim, denial, okay?
Okay, presentation of the LA County Animal Control.
Receive and file.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then the approving the past city council meetings for September the 28th.
Receive and file is in the direction.
All those in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Under, aye. Under discussion items, a request for the Community Redevelopment Department to establish and appoint an advisory committee for the enforcement of the Hawaiian Gardens Municipal Code. What does that mean, Joe?
Yeah, Honorable Mayor and members of the council, the Community Development Department is requesting that the council consider implementing an advisory committee for the Code Enforcement Division. Staff would recommend the committee consist of 2 members of the City Council, the City Administrator, and the Community Development Director. This would allow a more effective communication tool between the elected body and staff.
So there'd be like 4 people?
2 elected and 2 staff members, yes.
Can I ask, Joe, what did you have in mind to do to go through the code enforcement?
Well, we could,
book that we went through before?
depending on what the committee would like to do, we could go over some of the procedures, rules and procedures of code enforcement in the department, or if there's any special requests of the council or whatever the desire is.
To delete some of those?
Well,
No, not necessarily delete. If anything we do would have to come back before the council.
I thought our
for
only
review and
problem,
recommendation. So, I mean, yes, we could look at you talk about the bail schedule? Yeah, we could look at it and go over it and explain it, but if anything official that would be done to that bail schedule would have to come back before the council, because that was adopted by a resol and an ordinance.
I thought that our code enforcement, our code rules and stuff like that I thought we'd all decided that they were fine. The only problem, it looked like, by certain people, that we were being selected, that we weren't treating everyone in the whole city the same. I thought that was their only problem.
Well, I think also, if I may, Mayor, I think that that is one of the
Because I think
problems.
we all
But I
want
think
the
that
city.
we want to see the city cleaned up, but how do you want to clean it up? You don't want to bash people over the heads and kick them around and fine them every second that we can. We want to be able, like Mr. Calcody says, to be a little bit more compassionate, okay? And I think that that's what we need to be doing, is to be compassionate and start working with some people.
And treat everyone the same.
And I think that's what I feel is probably something that the council needs to address on, just how are we going to do that? We all want to see the city cleaned up, but we all want to see, our city to be compassionate, to work with some of these people, because a lot of these people, some of these people are single family moms. Some of these people are people who are poor, don't have the money to clean up. They may have mitigating circumstances. There might be some people who are disabled. Those kinds of things are a number of mitigating circumstances. So I believe that for us looking at the situation, it's not a matter that we want the city not to be cleaned up. It's a matter of, we all want the city to be cleaned up, but how do we want to do it? And is there some kind of methodology that we could implement that could more be addressed by the staff to cooperate and allow the public to clean up their property in a more compassionate manner? And I think that's something that we're all looking for at this point in time.
Two
I'd
other
be more than-
issues that would be discussed in the committee would deal with the day laborers and the HART program.
And the what?
The HART program, I believe the city administrator, when the city administrator came on board.
What do you mean the HART program?
The HART program, I believe, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, stands for Housing Rehab Team.
Yeah.
And this was something that was discussed with the prior council, I believe, in the prior elected body. And there was an interest in implementing this program. And again,
This isn't the program that somebody suggested, knocking on every door in the house and say, let me come in and with the checklist, is it?
Well, the whole thing though.
That
is
ain't gonna go.
But this is why, one of the reasons why the committee also
Yeah.
is to,
Yeah, we're not gonna do
to see that there seems to be,
That's crazy.
there's enforcement and
And
there's
there's
enforcement.
enforcement, yeah.
Okay, so it becomes a matter of, what staff is asking for is, let us know what avenue you want to take as far as enforcement, but it has to be consistent.
Yeah. I mean, look-
Not to be discouraged to enforce something and to encourage to enforce something else. So that's the only, so
Yeah,
that's
that-
why, by having a two elected body on this committee, it would just uniform the whole procedure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that program also, if I remember right, that program also brought in other agencies like law enforcement and that kind of thing?
Yeah,
See, that's-
fire department and law
That's totally
enforcement
crazy.
stuff.
This is not a
People are not
Gestapo
gonna let us
state.
do that.
That's totally crazy. I can't imagine that anybody would turn around and say that program would be conducive to working with the citizens of this city. I mean, that's totally crazy. Bring law enforcement, the fire department, building inspectors, who else? I mean, you want to send the whole National Guard out there with guns.
I think
Does
we have
other
it now.
cities have
It's
this
totally
program?
crazy.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
sure.
Which cities?
Paramount, I believe, is one.
Paramount? You mean you just knock on the door and say, I'm coming in?
No.
Well,
Not even the police do that. They have to have a search warrant before they go in your house.
I'll call Pat. I'll ask him how he does that
If
kind of
you
stuff.
keep knocking on my
Because
door,
I'll
I said,
bet you
you're not
it's,
coming
Don't
in my
just knock on
house.
their doors.
No way.
That's
No, we don't do
just
that.
totally crazy.
And what if they say no?
Then
That's
you gotta
just
get
totally
you gotta get
nuts.
a warrant.
Well, that just sounds
That
I
doesn't
think
sound
I
right.
don't think that's the way this council wants to
No.
go.
We will
What
not.
do you think, Loopy?
Well, I'm against a program of such extreme.
Yeah.
I think Leonard might remember years ago it was suggested that somebody came up with a no-knock ordinance. And this is a similar thing, just go in the house and force yourselves in and
Yeah,
get in
no.
the yard and all that.
Okay, but one of the things that,
But
when you-
I
Like
agree,
being
we
in
need to be,
Russia.
more sensitive and work more with the people.
Yeah.
But of course, there's some people that are gonna take advantage of you too.
Then we
Oh,
can
yeah.
do with that. I mean,
I think
I have no problem with that.
every case is different, and I don't see nothing wrong with having a committee to deal with that, with those complaints. Otherwise, we're gonna have them here, or we can have them here, whatever.
okay, but the only thing that staff is asking for is, give us a direction that you really want, okay? But, you know, because if you force here and you don't enforce here, then you really, one is being selective, you know?
Well,
that-
that's what I thought.
Yeah,
You
and I
know,
think we need to
that's
stop
what the
that.
people complain about.
But I think we also need to,
I mean, like parking on the grass.
I mean,
You
we
either
need to
do it or
be,
you don't.
I just don't see us getting anywhere bashing people over the heads. I think you're gonna get more cooperation from people by being cooperative yourself, so.
But also it becomes a matter of, I think it would be of an asset to determine what are the priorities when it comes to code
Right,
enforcement.
exactly,
Yeah,
You know, is it, you know,
what's first?
yeah.
right, exactly.
But I think, you know, it just would facilitate, not only for staff, but for the public at large.
Exactly.
Yeah, but, you know, just like if somebody has a door in their garage door or a light up above that door, that doesn't mean they're sleeping in there.
I didn't say the word.
Well, I know they're not,
Okay.
you know? I mean, it's just, you know, it's common sense, a lot of this. But we all want the city cleaned up.
I'll volunteer my services to the advisory committee.
Well, then I have to be on it too.
You can, go ahead. That's two
No,
members.
I think the mayor's appointments, who did we have on? Would that be personnel?
No, ma'am.
No, that's something totally different?
It's, and
Yes.
we're talking about, you know, committee of,
Two
two
council
elected.
members.
Yeah.
It's really the mayor's shot.
Hmm. It's kind of hot in the kitchen at times, but I can take it. Okay, I'll think about it. If you give
Just,
me...
just don't look at me.
Okay, number 2,
Does that mean that the two individuals are yourself
yeah, I'm
and
gonna
Mayor
keep
Pro
him
Tem?
under control.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
I'm gonna beat him after the meeting. Okay, number 2. Review of the city policy relating to processing and releasing of public information. Council action. Now, what's this about?
I'll admit my guilt to put this on by putting this on the agenda. And the reason I'm putting this on the agenda is for discussion so that the public will know that that we do have a policy if you request public information. That information can be information about our business practices, be information concerning the amount of money that we have. Nearly everything is public information except for personnel, and I believe some litigation matters that the city is engaged in presently and possibly in the past. And I think it's important for the public to know that because, you know, we serve the public. The public is looking at us to try to find answers about how good we're doing in our job. I believe that that we do have a public policy, public information, release of public information policy, if I'm not mistaken.
What's the time period?
And the time period is what, 10 days?
Yeah, that's established by.
If someone asks
It's
for
10
something...
days, it's 10 days upon request to determine whether or not the information is public or not.
So-
Then you can release it.
Right.
Unless it's FEPC.
Well, that's different. That's different.
So I would invite the public, if you have questions concerning your city government, I'd also invite you to ask those questions. And if you need information from the city, to come down and request it. And we'll do everything we can to honor it and give you whatever information is public that we can. And that public information is something that is a very important thing to this council. And that's one of the items I want you to consider and come down, pick up some guidelines if you want.
Okay, number 3, reestablishing the city's monthly treasury report. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
All those disagree? 4 is authorizing the city administrator to advertise and recruit for the position of finance director. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those? Aye. Okay. Oral staff reports?
Yeah, we got about an hour then. No.
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah, just council information, I believe you may have already received flyers regarding the next Community Development Block Grant citywide cleanup program that's scheduled for October 23rd and October 24th, and they will start between 8 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. or until bins are full.
Is this just like the last one back over
Same.
here? You have to bring the crap up there, huh? I was told not to use that word.
Could have been worse. Could have been another 4-letter word.
We're going to strike that from the record, Madam Mayor.
Okay. You heard the attorney.
Refuse.
Girls.
Refuse.
So all residents, this is a program just for residents of the city of Hawaiian Gardens. You must have the proper identification in order to prove your residency in the city. And they would be able to utilize this program free of charge to dispose of any of their unwanted debris. We'll also have some recycling of green waste, concrete, and tires, and etc. The other item I wanted just to bring to the council's attention is that as you know, we've reinstated the housing rehab program, and that we are ready to fund 3 grants that are being issued in the mobile home park. We're waiting for funding from the finance department, and we have another major rehab, approximately $30,000 that we're in the process of going out to bid. So the program is back in its full force.
Do you think one of these years that we will be able to go back to having the bins on the street to the people? Because a lot of people don't have a truck.
Yes, we will be able to, especially if we will have additional funds coming in from the casino. The only reason why we're doing it that way is because of the limited funds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I realize that.
Okay.
I believe also Irving.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council,
Can
I'd
you-
like to remind you that on October 28, we had our annual flu chat. So if you haven't got one, please feel free to come to the senior center
I need one.
and get your flu shot. It's from 9 to 11
On what day?
on Thursday, October 28.
What's the age for a senior?
50.
Well,
If you look
you can also get the flu shot if you work in the public sector. So we are all public servants, so we are allowed to get one. Also, Saturday, I was told by the director for the Volunteers of America to thank you, the council member, for having allowed the annual volunteer celebration for all the volunteers that help in all the different luncheon sites the Volunteers of America provide for seniors. Was a nice program, so they want to make sure that you know that. Thank you so much for the hospitality. And the week of October 25th to the 29th, we had our annual Red Ribbon Week. So I will be passing, or Ernie Varga will be passing red ribbons so we can display our clothing. And the next council, on the 26th, we're going to have our award for all the students that got awarded for the picture contest. And our annual Halloween program is going to be held Sunday, October 31st, and we are in the planning processing. You will be getting an invitation next week. I'm going to have Ernesto to give you an update on the recently concluded SYTP program, and he also is going to give you an update on the webpage.
Honorable Mayor, City Council members. As you may know, this year we got a $57,000 grant from the Private Industry Council to run a SYETP, Summer Youth Employment Training Program, Title B program, actually. We had the opportunity to hire 4 laid-off employees back. We employed them temporarily for 3.5 months. In addition to that, we provided 33 youth from our city, residents of our city, with valuable pre-employment skills and work experience training. Just got a phone call from the auditors yesterday, and they said everything's looking good and everything was pretty much great. So just to give you a summary on that. The other thing is I'm going to brief you on is as Tony made everyone aware, we are currently working on a webpage for our city. It's under construction now. We do have it. It is accessible. The site is www.gateway.cog.org. And just go under Hawaiian Gardens, you can access it. It is currently, we are going to be making some revisions on it, making it easier accessible to the residents, to the community, and to outsiders. So we really look forward to, making more information accessible to everyone through the internet. So.
One of the things also that Mr. Marcus will be contacting you all individually for the purpose of doing a little interview to get a bio on each of you. He's also placing a picture of each of you on the webpage, and then there'll be a bio with that.
Let's scare him away.
To enhance it.
Yeah, what I
Blacken the teeth.
if I may add, I did use the pictures that are right here in the lobby. If you have any other pictures you would like to use, just we can talk about it when I schedule the appointment.
Mayor's got one when she was real young.
Kind of cute, too.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
pretty neat.
That's all.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll adjourn this meeting to,
How about
to
oral, how about,
council?
yes, I got
Okay.
something to report.
Sorry.
Friday, the 8th, I was at the recreation department around 11 o'clock, 11:30. And I was informed by one of the employees that somebody had dropped off 8 puppies and they put them inside one of the bicycle racks. They were kind enough to put a bowl of water in there. They had already called the police. The police had been there earlier and they said they would call the animal control. And it was getting very hot. At 11:45, I called the animal control. And I informed them that we had an emergency. And I explained what the emergency was. Well, they didn't consider that an emergency. They said it would take about 72 hours by the time they got to the puppies. Okay? I asked them, what did they consider an emergency? He said, well, we have to be out there on the street picking up stray dogs so they don't bite the kids when they're coming out of school. But it wasn't even 12 o'clock. The kids were in school. And he said, well, there's a lot of dead dogs out there. And I told him, well, if you don't get over here fast enough, you're going to have 8 dead puppies. And I said, let me speak to your supervisor. He says, as you wish. And then he hung up on me. That was the wrong thing to do. Okay? And then we called the sheriff's department. They came down. The same officer that had been there that morning came down. And I helped him put the puppies in the patrol car. And he took them. Now, the person that spoke to me from the animal control said, well, can you put them in a box and bring them over here? Well, that's not my job. That's his job. He's getting paid to do this. And if that's the way I identify myself, and if he's going to treat me that way, I can see what kind of job he's doing out there on the streets. Okay, and I demand that we have better service.
Let me, I'd like to meet with you further tomorrow on that. There's another agency that's been asking about doing animal control service here in our city also. So maybe this is a time to look.
I mean, I cannot believe that they wouldn't let me speak to the supervisor because I considered that an emergency. It was getting hot out there. There's no ventilation in there. The little puppies were all crammed up way in the corner. And we had a heck of a time, that officer and I, trying to get to those puppies, to get them out and put them in a patrol car. And I don't think it was right. It's wrong. And if they can't do their job, then we don't need them here.
I appreciate that the deputy did take the...
Yes, I thought that was very nice of him, and he told me, he said, well, I called them this morning and they said that they would be right out. I said, well, that's not what they told me. Between 72 hours. He couldn't believe that they had told me that.
He'll be addressed.
Well, thank you. Maybe you
Thank
want to
you.
call their manager or whatever.
I'll invite them down here.
Oh, by all means, do. I'd like to get my hands on it.
Take his head off.
You're darn right.
Thank you, Beth.
Somebody in the county will work.
Anyone else, Lupe? Nothing?
Nope.
Well, I'll adjourn this meeting to October the 22nd, 26, 6:30. And we'll take redevelopment. Roll call vote.
Director Prida?
Here.
Director Alvarez? Director Cabrera?
Here.
Vice Chair Member Titus?
Here.
Chair Member Schultz?
Here.
You have a quorum?
Thank you. We're going to excuse Alvarez.
Yeah, that's a motion to excuse.
All those in
Second.
favor? Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. Oral communications, things on the agenda, anyone?
Already.
Things not on the agenda?
Alan Calco, 21930 Horst Avenue. Actually, I wasn't going to speak on this, but there were some comments made when we had the discussion about code enforcement. And since the entire city is under the redevelopment agency, I think code enforcement would pertain. You seem to ridicule the idea of the fire department, the police department, and our code enforcement surveying the city and seeing what's going on. First of all, I think I've been told that in the past we had code enforcement officers that when they would come to a house, they were threatened by the residents. And that's why maybe there was a need for law enforcement there. I believe we had a Joe Fleshman that, maybe, I don't know if he still works for the city or not, but that was one of his responsibilities, was to look at the housing here, to see what's going on in the houses, and see how that kind of dovetails with code enforcement and cleaning up the city, because there is a real correlation between blight and crime. Everybody knows that. So it wasn't like the Gestapo were going to come knocking on people's doors. It was that law enforcement, the fire department, and our city would coordinate together to see what needs to be done in our city to get it cleaned up. And I know when I was campaigning, and I think it was back in the month of February, I walked up to a house to leave one of my flyers, and there was an elderly gentleman in his 70s, and it was apparent that he lived in the garage in a space about 5 by 8, and there was a heater in there, and it was third world conditions. You're not going to see that if you're just driving around. You have to walk up on the property and get a close-up view. And I did report that because I felt those conditions were not the kind of conditions we want for anybody to live in. Okay, so there are a lot of illegal garage conversions. There are a lot of people at risk. And really, you know, if the city doesn't have an aggressive stand on this with compassion, you're going to miss some of these things because people hide that. So please don't ridicule the idea that maybe one day we could survey street by street and see what's going on. And believe me, people are more than happy to talk to you and say to some kind of officials, yeah, that house over there, they have 20 people living in it, you know, and they're making a mess.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't ridicule the idea of you know what, ignorance is nothing to to strive for. The more information you have about the community, the more we can do for our residents.
Let's make sure it's
And-
accurate information.
Right, okay, but anyway, but you're not gonna get it by just driving around, you need a kind of a close-up look. But anyway,
We're not gonna get it by
that's,
having a
that's up for you
Gestapo
guys
tactic
to
and
figure out,
having
but I'm
the
telling
army
you,
come out and
okay,
knock down doors.
I think it's my 3 minutes, and then you could talk all night. So there is a need out there to see what's really going on, and once again, I would not ridicule the idea of law enforcement, the fire department, and our city working together. Like it was said, Paramount does that. If Paramount does it, why can't we do that? But anyway, you guys are the experts, you'll figure it out. And the other thing, I think something was mentioned about the day laborers, and you know, one thing I noticed, it was about 2 weeks ago, I drove by the home base, and there's all kinds of day laborers out there. There was one guy passed out at the Durango Market. And then I drove down Lincoln, and I went to by the Home Depot there in Cypress, the brand new one off of Valley View. There weren't any day laborers hanging out there. And so I'm kind of curious why Cypress, now I don't know if that's a daily thing, but how come is it that Cypress maybe has a different way of controlling that problem?
Long place to walk.
What?
Yeah, but Alan, if you've noticed our home base, some weeks you go by there and there's very few people.
Okay. But anyway, that's something that,
And
you
then
know,
other weeks, it's just
maybe
wall
you
to
need to
wall.
talk with other cities and find out how they handle the day laborer situation. And certainly, you know, they're trying to make an honest living, but some people do get intimidated when you drive into the parking lot and 4 or 5 guys rush the car.
Don't happen to
Okay.
everybody.
Okay, some people do get intimidated and they'd rather go shopping somewhere else. And I would hope that the bottom line is that you guys will do whatever is possible to stimulate businesses in this community and want people to shop here. Okay, that is your responsibility. So you might want to look into what Cypress is doing at that Home Depot on Lincoln, right there at Valley View,
They
and
don't
what
have
maybe we
any
can do
day
here at...
laborers
What?
over there.
No, please, that's an unfair characterization,
They
okay?
use the old,
Okay.
maybe they use the old boot, Al.
No. You know,
Yeah.
there's, you know, Cypress is a diverse community with all kinds of ethnic backgrounds, so, you know, don't even start along those lines. But anyway,
Right.
so I wouldn't, you know, you ridicule that HEART program
3
and all
minutes,
that
sir,
kind of
up.
stuff. And, you know, like I
Come on,
said,
guys.
ignorant is not bliss, you know, so you guys need to get the information on the community. Thank you.
Beat a dead horse long enough. Well, let me tell you something. Now I can get my chance to talk on this thing. No, we're not going to have people show up with the police department, the fire department. Of course, you know, somebody who's always criticizing the city for spending money could imagine how much money that's going to cost the city. Okay, let's not even talk about, whether it's right or wrong. Can we afford that? I don't think we can afford that. I don't think that's, and if we could afford it, I sure as heck would be the first guy to stand up against something like that. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. And to say that one person got attacked one time, so therefore we're going to walk from house to house with, like in Gestapo fashion, with every army guy out here, every police department coming down. So you want to stop at every house because one guy got attacked? That sounds like overkill to me. But then again, that's what Mr. Calcote is pushing, and maybe that's why Mr. Calcote is sitting on the audience.
Head with a coffee cup?
I don't know, but if somebody get hit in the head with a coffee cup, doesn't mean that we're going to turn around and plaster this place with black and whites and fire department on every house, kick down the doors and try to find code violations. I mean, that's totally crazy. And if you think we're going to stand for that kind of thing for the public, you're out of your mind.
We'd all be gone like tomorrow.
We'd be sitting out there with you, Alan.
Okay, under
Right.
resolutions,
That's what Hitler said.
approval of resolution 99-28, approving pre-issued warrants and payroll for $11,299.77.
Motion approved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Shall we have a roll call vote when things are spending money? Roll call vote.
Director Prida?
Yes.
Director Alvarez? Director Cabrera?
Yes.
Vice Chair Member Chidas?
Yes.
Chair Member Schultz?
Yes. And number 2, reestablishing the Community Redevelopment Agency monthly treasury report.
Motion approved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 3, presentation of agency meeting minutes for the following date, September the 28th, regular meeting.
Motion
All those
approved.
in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All staff reports?
You need a
Jeff?
second.
second, you need a second on
Oh, second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Staff reports? Agency reports?
I'd just like to say, going back to the home base, I go to Cypress and I go to Los Alamitos too. But
And
used to be
it's
bar.
nice, isn't it?
Right. But yes, we have a lot of those day laborers. But some of those people live in the community. Some of those people I know
Well, that's
are
what they
paying
say.
rent, you know, and they don't have vehicles, so they really are not there to harass people there. Some of them do.
Yeah.
But sometimes some of us pay for what other people's mistakes. So, but a lot of those people need to be there. They need to work. And I know it's been a problem. I know my wife won't go there in the truck, in her pickup truck, because they
think she's in contractors.
Tell her to go in and out at the signal, that's what I do.
Well, she sends me, and but I guess if we were a community like Cypress or something like that, where a lot of those people are better off than ours,
Well, if
they
the-
would hang, you know, these guys would hang around.
Yeah, if the people didn't hire them,
Exactly.
they wouldn't be there.
And another thing too, I know for a fact I've had some of those guys, they stand there with hopes of getting a job. Some of the contractors that go in there, they pick them up, they take them to work, drop them off, and then they leave and don't pay
They
them.
run out of them.
Or they give them a personal check, knowing darn well that these people can just walk into a bank and cash a check, so they don't get paid. Now, these people are really, they must really be in trouble to stand out there and take a chance of being taken by these contractors. There ought to be a law against these people.
Well,
Do you
there is,
think
but then
that,
how do they have no way out.
They have to do is, before they get into a truck, a car, or whatever, they should take the name of the person, the license number of their vehicle. Now, if they don't pay, well, then turn them in.
Do you think any of these people are here illegal?
I don't know, I don't ask them. All I know is that some of them are studying for they have to be legally here because they're studying for their citizenship.
What happened to that program? You met with some people that...
Yes, I did. And we're still waiting to hear from this guy, and then we're going to organize and try to set up a committee to talk to these guys. Mr. Lopez was there. Okay?
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I'll adjourn this meeting to Tuesday, October the 26th at 6:30.